Welcome to a very special episode today, the 5,000 subscriber Q&A special episode. If you're new here, which is unlikely for this episode, but if you are, hi, my name is Melody. I make videos about creating a custom wardrobe, making costumes, and generally just being a crafty woman. You can also find me getting up to those same nefarious activities over on Instagram. So a big thank you to those of you who submitted questions, and this is my second time trying to film this. I started filming a couple days ago, and then my phone randomly stopped filming like halfway through, so this is take two. The original plan for this video was to be doing some kind of craft while I answered these questions, but during my first attempt at filming this video, the multitasking was not going very well. My attention was way too split. It's gonna be easier for me and for you if I just answer the questions. So this is gonna be more podcasty, I guess. Put this on in the background of whatever craft you're working on. Also, yes, this is my lunch chilling back here. I feel like I should eat, but I'm not hungry yet. So it's there when I need it. All right, first question. As a beginner sewist, any advice on how to organize the sewing setup? So this is gonna depend on two things. How much space do you have available? And the second thing being, how much sewing are you doing on a regular daily, weekly basis? So having a room to myself to store all of my sewing equipment and projects is very new to me. So I don't want to answer based on my current setup because I don't know what your situation is. To really answer this question, I feel like I would need to know how much space you're working with and how much sewing you intend to do. So I'm gonna just assume less space because I think that's what most people are working with. Like when we were renting just the 2 bedrooms, I had my desk, my table that I had set up as a desk, and whatever storage I could squeeze under and around that. And then I had bins of supplies in the closet in that same room. And previously at the little apartment, at my first apartment, again, I just had my desk in that little window alcove. And so I had stuff stored in and around there. So assuming that you're working with a smaller setup, as I've mentioned a couple times now, clear plastic bins are your best friend. I still utilize them for things that I don't need super frequently, and I store them in the closet in this room. So I had most of my fabric in a clear plastic bin that I could pull out and access as needed. Notions I also just compiled in a smaller clear plastic bin, especially because with things like notions, micro-organizing them into like lots of little containers doesn't really make sense unless you have a ton of each. Like at the costume loft for the community theater where I'm doing a show right now. I love the costume loft so much. It's so beautifully organized, and they have like walls of bins where stuff is organized by type. Like there's literally just a shoebox. It might be bigger than a shoebox, but I think it's like a shoebox size little plastic bin for zippers, and then another one for buttons, and another one for trims and tapes. So even though they have all that space, again, clear plastic bins are so great for storage. Make sure you label them. And on a smaller scale, that's what I have always done for my own storage. Depending on how frequently you're going to be sewing, that's going to determine how accessible you want stuff. So again, as I've mentioned, I do put a lot of stuff in hidden storage. That's just what I personally like. I find that too much open storage just feels and looks really cluttered and makes me overwhelmed. So I like to have stuff behind closed doors, in drawers, tucked away where I can't see it until I need it. The stuff that I am using constantly and regularly, I do have pretty much right here. So that's my sharps, my pins, my marking tools, measuring tools, and then I have my sewing box tucked down there. I hope this goes without saying, but a little sewing box is also really helpful, especially if you're starting out and you don't have a ton of equipment to be storing. These are very helpful. You don't even need one of these exactly. I find that the designs on sewing boxes specifically, honestly, are kind of goofy looking. I don't really like most of them. Just get yourself like a toolbox, a tackle box. Those are just as good for storing little pieces and things. And I really like having this pegboard here so that my tools are easily accessible. I don't know if that answers your question at all. Again, I don't know what you're working with as far as amount of space and frequency of sewing. So if you want to comment on this video a question in more detail, like I'm happy to answer specific things. I guess it boils down to try to keep the stuff that you're using frequently easily accessible, and then fabric and less frequently used things, don't be afraid to just put them in clear plastic bins and like tuck them off to the side somewhere. And you'll figure out what works for you as you go along and as you realize what you need and what you use and don't need as frequently. So it is kind of a trial and error thing. I think I'm gonna do like 3 or 4 questions and then I'll make myself eat my sandwich. I'm a fan of your fantasy, whimsical Renfaire videos. Will you be making more stuff like that? Thank you. I really enjoy making those type of videos, so I do very much intend to make more. The thing that I'm trying to balance right now is figuring out how much of that I can work into my channel without just completely screwing up my metrics, because usually when I publish stuff like that, the algorithm is like, what is this? The algorithm does not know what to do with it. But at least at the time of publishing, they don't do very well. So I love making those videos. They are so fun for me. So short answer is yes, I will be making more of them. And hopefully over time, I can increase the frequency of those, like how many of them I'm making. But right now I'm just trying not to completely tank my metrics, I guess. What is your biggest source of sewing inspiration? One of my biggest sewing inspirations definitely is the media I consume. TV shows, movies, anything fantasy or history or historical fantasy. It is hard for me to watch shows and movies and not want to make half of what I'm seeing. Not so much with modern stuff, but anything set in a different time period, set in a different realm. And beyond that, really just anytime I see something that I like and I want to wear, I'm usually thinking about how I can go about making it for myself rather than buying it. I don't want to spend $400 on a dress that I could spend 20 hours making from a $4 thrifted tablecloth. I don't know if that's really an even trade-off, but that's how my brain works. I'm inspired to sew things that I want to wear. Do you have a dream project you want to make in the future? There are two things that are foremost on my wish list right now. And these aren't going to be like my magnus opus projects. They're just projects that I really want to make that I've been putting off, partly out of intimidation, partly out of just not being mentally or physically ready to make them yet. One of them is actually a costume for my husband, something for October, a bit of a cosplay that I might be roping him into because he is physically perfect to dress up as this character. Go ahead and guess down below in the comments if you think you know what it is. I'm not gonna tell you yet, but I really, really want to make it. So I'm hoping between all the craziness of this play that I'm doing right now that I can find time to make that costume, because I think he would be so perfect. The second thing is actually just an Outlander pattern that I bought off eBay. I believe it's the McCall's one. Yeah, because I think I bought the Simplicity one first. I sat on it for like 2 years. I've literally had it for like 2 years. And I just was feeling like it didn't quite look like Claire's outfit. It just didn't look right. So then I kept scouring eBay and I finally found the McCall's one that looks closer to her costume in the show, and was able to actually get it in a bundle with both her Lallybroch outfit and her wedding dress pattern. So basically I just want to nerd out and make some Outlander patterns. Who were your fashion icons / influences growing up, and do they still hold up today? Most of my fashion influences growing up came from the music I was listening to. I think I talked about this more at length in a video I did like 3 years ago, my fashion evolution, or rather devolution video. And this is something I'm thinking about doing a longer video on, talking about how music shaped my style and still shapes my style to this day. So I don't want to give too much away. So short answer is most of my fashion influences definitely came from the music I listen to. Thoughts on fast fashion? I don't have much to say that hasn't already been said by everyone else. I think we all agree and understand thing bad, don't do thing. Although I feel less black and white about the issue than I think some people do. I think that some people, they kind of moralize on it a little bit too much and get on their high horse about it. It's just not realistic for most people to 100% cut it out of their life. I know that there are plenty of middle class or even lower middle class people who do make that decision and absolutely stick to that and make it work. But for most of us, it's just not feasible cost-wise and time-wise. After logging my entire wardrobe into the Open Wardrobe app, which I don't really use very often, but anyway, it was nice to see everything all in one place. 80% of my wardrobe is secondhand, and I feel pretty good about that number, because what I'm finding is, as much as I love thrifting, I love the treasure hunt of it and being able to find really unique stuff for dirt cheap, I'm finding that a lot of times those basic core pieces in my wardrobe, I just cannot find secondhand. Like if I want just a basic white t-shirt, crop top, whatever, trying to find it at the thrift store is going to take me so much time. ThredUp is just far too expensive, and oftentimes it's going to cost the same, if not more, than if I just go to Walmart and buy a basic little cropped white t-shirt. So that's what I did this summer. I bought myself a couple of little basic tees and tank tops from Walmart, and then a couple I got from Amazon. And I don't know, at some point I probably would have felt really, really bad about that. But these were basic things that just cost-wise did not make sense to thrift. And they have ended up being really core pieces in my wardrobe for the summer. I've been wearing them constantly. So I think where we need to shift the conversation, and I'm seeing some people do this, is just stop shaming people for occasionally buying fast fashion because it's there, it's affordable, and shift more to intentionally thinking about what we're buying. I am starting to see more people talk about how, you know, it doesn't matter if you're not buying fast fashion if you're still buying tons of clothing at the thrift store every month. It's just as wasteful. So reducing the amount of purchasing you're doing overall, and if a few pieces, or heck, maybe even half or more of your wardrobe comes from fast fashion because that's what you can afford, but you really put thought into what you were buying and it wasn't just a one-off thing for an event or a picture. Shifting more to just really thinking about those purchases. Because for me, y'all, I gotta be honest, the number one reason I thrift is to save money. Like, helping the planet's nice and all, but I have a budget to maintain. If buying the thing new at Walmart is cheaper and gets me exactly what I was looking for, then obviously I'm gonna go with that. Thrifting just can take a lot of time and effort that people don't have. So that's where I'm at on the issue. We all know thing bad, avoid the thing, but also don't shame people for the thing. Yeah, okay. Anyway, who are some other fashion/clothing related YouTubers you enjoy? See, here's the thing. I don't watch a lot of fashion YouTube anymore. I definitely did when I started this channel. The biggest inspiration to start this channel after thinking about starting a channel for well over a year, the biggest influence to finally just do it was Ashley from Best Dressed. We all know her, we love her, we miss her. But since then, as I've moved more into enjoying the sewing part of fashion and costumes especially, I don't watch a lot of fashion YouTubers. I definitely am watching more people who are doing like thrift flips and creative stuff. Like right now, one of my favorites is definitely Kathleen Illustrated. She just has like the coziest personality and I really love her creativity with what she does with her clothing. Her style is so different from mine. If we went thrifting together, we would not be fighting over the same items, but I just enjoy her videos and what she brings to the fashion space, the slow fashion space. But otherwise, I've just been watching such a hodgepodge of things. I really like Hazariel Atelier. She is a French costume creator, makes incredible stuff. One of my absolute favorite YouTubers right now though is Caroline Winkler. If you do not watch her, what are you doing with your life? I just enjoy her personality. She's a little kook and I love it. I'm here for it. Who else? Oh, Prickly Alpaca makes the most incredible wacko stuff. She does costumes and sometimes like actual daily wear stuff. It's like a good mix of both. I just enjoy their creativity. Basically, I'm enjoying watching people who either are like incredibly creative and make the craziest, wildest stuff, and or just have a personality that I enjoy watching on screen. Would you ever get into cosplay? Yes, I am trying. I am currently trying, and it's just, I have supplies. I have a basket of stuff to turn into other stuff. I have stuff in progress that I meant to do in January. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do one cosplay a month this year. It's the end of September. I have done 0. Well, I guess last fall I did a Buffy cosplay, but I never got around to sharing much of it because I was sewing it down to the last minute and then I had to run out the door. So yes, I am actively right now trying to get into cosplay. I just am having a hard time finishing and juggling like all the different projects I have going on, but it's in there. It's in there. It's on the list in my noggin. What's your favorite decade to emulate in your clothing choices? At the moment, I don't know that I have one particular decade, but I definitely am heavily inspired by obviously 90s, the 70s, like hippie or prairie kind of styles. I love those so much. And maybe a little bit of like 60s mod. I like that as well. And 1740s. What's the first clothing item you ever made yourself? I started sewing in middle school after learning how in our home ec classes, and I think the first couple of things that I made for myself were actually bags, but clothing to actually wear, I think the first thing I actually made that wasn't like a thrift flip, I think the first thing I made was I tried to make like a 2-tier high-waisted mini skirt out of some black curtain fabric that I had. I remember having this vision for like this skirt that I wanted. It was high-waisted, 2 tiers, like ruffled tiers, and then I put ribbon around the hem of each ruffle. There was a vision, there was a goal, and I did my darndest to execute it with absolutely no know-how. And I remember wearing it to school once, not loving how it felt or fit, and then I don't know what happened to it after that. Have you ever considered dyeing your hair auburn? It'd slay. It would slay. Thank you. I think about dyeing my hair auburn like at least once a month. If I could have my exact wish for what I want for my hair, I want my hair to be the equivalent of Aurora's dress at the end of Sleeping Beauty. I want to be able to change my hair color like every day, but I don't want to wear wigs. So I would love if like hair color magic was a thing and I could just switch from like blonde to brunette to auburn and back again at will. I did briefly have my hair auburn, kind of unintentionally, and it was okay, but I just remember kind of feeling ugly. I didn't like it, so I don't know if it was just because I was doing it myself and doing a bad job. It was partially also my hair was shorter, and I think I just wasn't feeling the haircut also. Short answer, yes, I have absolutely considered dyeing my hair auburn. The hang up is that's a very difficult color to get rid of if you decide you don't want it anymore. I don't know, I'm gonna let this grow out a little bit and probably do some obnoxious things with unnatural colors while my hair is light enough to take it, but I do want to go back to like a light brown. I kind of miss my brown hair. I had a few more points of interest, I guess you could say, that I kind of wanted to talk about, but I'll probably save those for another video, another day. But what I will end on is a question that I have not been asked directly in a while, but people have brought it up. So this is kind of an everybody question, which is, will I ever change the name of this channel? Because it has been brought to my attention multiple times that Outfit Repeater doesn't quite match up with what I do, with what I make. I mean, it doesn't not match, it's not totally dissonant, but especially as I move more into the sewing and costume making parts of fashion that I enjoy more, it does feel a little bit less relevant than when I felt more inspired to make like lookbooks and outfit videos. I'm still repeating outfits. I still am like wearing the same stuff that I've been wearing for the last couple years, but I don't really make videos on that as often. I just don't feel as inspired to. And the thing is, this is constantly on my mind. I am constantly trying to think of a different name for this channel that fits better, and I'm open to suggestions. So I am always thinking about it and open to that possibility, but I don't want to change it unless I find the perfect name, because I really do like the name Outfit Repeater. I feel like it's different and memorable enough, and at least for most of my videos, it aligns with what I do. You know, I like clothing and I like sewing and I like being thrifty, hence the repeating part of it. I know that a lot of people will just end up using their name as their channel name. I really don't want to do that. For one, my first name, Melody, is gonna give the impression that this channel is about music. For most of my life, I was known for singing and making music, and music is still a huge part of my life, but that's not gonna be what this channel is about. So I feel like that's confusing. And then I don't really want to use my last name, my married or my maiden name. I don't feel that attached to either of them. So I don't know, maybe I could work my first name into some kind of longer title, but right now nothing is clicking as like, yes, that's the right thing. I do have a list. I keep a list of ideas for changes to the channel name, but for the time being, I'm leaving it. The name is still in limbo. So like I said, I'm open to suggestions. I probably won't take them, but I will listen to them. That's enough talking for today. I need to go rest before going to work. back. So I am working on a bunch of different videos right now. I'm working on like a fall decor video, working on a video about selling with thredUP. So I have a couple different videos that are like half filmed and I'm in the process of, but I do have fall related content coming your way. I do have plans for Halloween costume inspired stuff coming up in October. The question is how much time I will have for it. As I've said, I'm in a play right now that is going to be eating up so much of my life, but I do want to make time for those things because I love this season so much and I just have so many ideas and so many things I want to do in the fall. Like my brain is on fire in a good way, I guess. So yeah, I have lots of stuff I want to do. If I'm not sharing it here, I am sharing it over on Instagram. So point being, there's more stuff coming. So stay tuned. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave a candle emoji down in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today for this chatty video. Subscribe if you would like to hang out again. Although I'd be surprised if any new people are here for this. I don't know, maybe you are. That's pretty cool. Thanks. Okay, I gotta go. Stay close to the candle. The staircase can be treacherous. Treacherous.